failure is the disconnect between where you are right now and where you want to be. So maybe failure isn't real. Maybe failure isn't real. Maybe it's just an expectation that didn't line up with your current reality.
Hola, hola. I'm Zulean Cruz Diaz, and welcome to Una Preguntita. Each week, you and I dive into the stuff nobody really teaches us: how to lead, connect, and communicate better. Y con tools you can actually use. So grab tu cafecito, get comfy, amigui, and let's figure this out together. Esto es Una Preguntita, where curiosity and understanding lead to action. Vamos. So on the pod, each week, we always get started con una preguntita, a question. So this week's preguntita is, what is failure? I think failure comes from the assumption that you want to have attained something or reached a target, but you're not there yet. It's the disconnect from where you are right now and where you want to be. It's that gap right there. So I'm going to say that again. Failure is the disconnect between where you are right now and where you want to be. The more I think about it, the more I realize failure might be completely made up. Almost like a social construct that tells us we should be at XYZ position, or by this age, we should be married with children, or by this date, I should have solved XYZ problem at work. I know I'm kind of getting a little philosophical here right from the very beginning, but stay with me, because with these scenarios, is failure really failure, quote unquote failure, or is it really expectations not being met? And then what does it actually mean when something doesn't work out the way you expected it to? I think that's the deeper topic at hand. What happens when something doesn't work out the way you expect it to? I've mentioned this in the past in other episodes, but you and I, amigi, are high achievers. And high achievers like to know what to do with their lives or be prepared and ready for their next stage. And it makes sense. We've grown up in a world where the quote unquote right path was pretty clear. Growing up, we went through school. Everyone mainly moved up to the next grade together. And you had metrics to determine if you were staying on the right path or not, right? Did you make good grades? Were you involved in extracurriculars? Did you stay out of trouble, etc.? But after graduation, there's no direct path or clear metrics to determine if you're actually reaching quote unquote success. And because we were so guided early on, uncertainty feels really scary. So how do we make ourselves feel better? Well, we try to clear out ambiguity and create less unknown or gray areas. So the solution is that we create expectations for ourselves and our lives. Keyword expectations. And then we feel like we've failed when we're not where we want to be. See where I'm going here? You become upset you didn't get to the big promotion by 25, or you missed that 6-figure income goal at 27, or you didn't get married, buy a house, and have a family by the age of 31. Yeah, not meeting these feels rough, especially because you had these expectations in your head for years that this is where I want to be at this age or at this season in my life. And what's really interesting is I was listening to the Harvard Business Review on Leadership podcast, and I heard the quote, "The problem is not the problem. The problem is how we think about the problem." I sat with this and I realized if you and I are frustrated with a topic, it might not be the actual topic we're mad at. It's the angle that we're looking at it from. I'm going to let you sit with that one for a little bit. I'm going to repeat it again. The problem is not the problem. The problem is how we think about the problem. Where do our definitions of success and failure even come from? Because if we're going to be honest, the expectations you placed before, it might not match up with the reality you're in right now. You've changed, you've grown, you know more, you see the world differently. So if your knowledge has evolved, shouldn't your metrics of success also evolve too? Think about it. If the metric you're chasing was created by past you, The version of you that didn't know what you know now, is it really a failure if you don't reach it? Like, tell me how that makes sense. We keep using these outdated rules to judge our present selves and then wonder why we feel behind. Amigui, the metrics expired. Those are outdated software that you're trying to still run on a new operating system. I think we forget that we don't live in elementary school anymore. There are no clear grades in adulthood, unfortunately. Sometimes I really wish there were, but there aren't. And nobody's handing out A's or F's for how fast you bought a house or when you got that promotion. Life is just decisions that lead to reactions, that lead to adjustments, and then you keep moving on, moving and moving. That's it. It's not success or failure. It's information. It's information. So maybe failure isn't real. Ooh, hot take. Maybe failure isn't real. Maybe it's just an expectation that didn't line up with your current reality. And that's not bad. Honestly, that can be growth. That's proof you've evolved. What you're calling failure might just be life saying, Mira, this version of the plan doesn't fit anymore. It's time to pivot. It's time to change. It's time to move. Interestingly enough, I was listening to the Diary of a CEO podcast with Stephen Bartlett, and he had on the science writer and author David Epstein. Turns out David actually disproved the 10,000 hour rule, where if you practice one thing for 10 years, you'll be an expert. The research was found to not have broad enough data. And it actually showed that when we focus too narrowly on one thing, o sea, just like trying to get really good at one single skill, we actually miss long-term growth and exploration. So think of somebody practicing their layup in basketball, right? On the court over and over and over again, layup after layup after layup. They might get really good at landing that layup, but still don't actually know how to play basketball. And that's what we're talking about here. Mastering in life isn't about repetition over and over and over again. It's about exploration. If we're too zoned in, we miss the opportunities to grow, to shift, and see what actually can be presented to us. Honestamente, this concept really stuck with me porque I find myself in a reinvention season. I'm going to be totally transparent. I thought in my business, I really just wanted to create an online course, and that was it. But the truth is, my energy, my curiosity, it like kept pulling me towards the podcast, which is where you're seeing me or hearing me today. And for a second, for some time, second is actually a couple months, I was like, oh, I'm failing at being a business owner. But I'm finding, there are other options and other routes I could actually take in the podcasting realm. This season I'm in right now, I'm gathering data. I'm learning what feels aligned with me, where is my zone of genius, and how to actually continue to explore. But if I tried to keep those blinders on of like, I just need to get this online course out, I just need to keep going, put my head down, I would have been able to do it, sí, pero I would have been missing my zone of genius. I would have been missing what really lights me up, what like gets me excited. And funny enough, that's what David, the scientist, was saying. When you let go and explore and make shifts, you actually get closer and closer to fulfillment versus if you zoned in and only accepted one pathway. The more you play and shift, one thing leads to another, which leads to another, and that brings you closer and closer to happiness. So maybe that's what reinvention actually is. Allowing yourself to shift directions without calling it a failure. Just calling it what it really is, which is exploration. Trying new things, testing, taking notes, that's exploration. And mira, it's not a lack of clarity. It's the path to clarity. Does that make sense? Time you try something new or have this is just a tester mentality, you get a clear picture of what you like what drains you, and what feels like purpose. And the people who live to be the most fulfilled in their lives, they're not the ones who picked a lane early on and never left it. They're the ones who stayed curious enough to keep shifting in every season they've entered. Exploration is not the opposite of success. It is the strategy of success. Okay, I know. I've talked your ear off. So let's go over these 3-point recap in case you send this podcast to somebody and they're like, Cliff Notes, por favor. I got your Cliff Notes. Okay, here we go. 3 points. Número 1 is failure is the disconnect from where you are right now to where you want to be. Punto número 2, what feels like failure is actually data. Data that tells you something about who you are now, or what you value, or where to explore next. Failure is actually data. Y punto número 3 is exploration is the path to clarity. It's testing, it's iterating, it's finding clarity, it's pivoting. Every detour, every experiment, it's evidence that you're learning and growing. So, amigos, next time you feel like you failed, try asking yourself, what did I just learn about myself? Where do I go next? And what's the data telling me? Because the truth is, the only failure is staying stuck in the same old definition that no longer fits you. You choose how you want to look at the problem.
Zulean, ¿qué aprendiste esta semana?
Thanks, Papi. Okay, so ¿qué aprendí? What did I learn? I learned that the more you ask questions and stay quiet, the more you actually can give better advice to others. I know, suena medio counterintuitive, but it's true. The more intently you listen and the more information you retain from the other person, the more helpful you actually are to them. Sometimes when somebody asks us for advice, we want to dive right in and tell them, mira, this is what you got to do. This is 1, 2, 3. This is how you do it. Da, 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 da. And I am sure that you have asked advice before to somebody and they go off on this random tangent that had nothing to do really with what you were asking. And the reason for that is because that other individual probably didn't have the full context. I like to think of clear communication as what plus why. So it's the equation clear communication equals what plus why. You probably asked the what part, but you didn't give the context, which is the why, or the direction that you want that individual to go in. So if we were to ask 2 to 3 questions, like follow-up questions, to make sure we understand all of the context, 1, we find out that they might actually answer their own question. And 2, you might get much more specific on your answer versus just go on this tangent that they really didn't want to listen to. When I was younger, I associated teaching and guidance with somebody who lectured forever. Shout out to my parents, mommy and papi, for being professional educators. But as I do more one-on-one coaching, I find that you actually give more substance the more you ask questions and listen versus talk. In case you, amigi, are interested in my communication and leadership one-on-ones, feel free, send me an email. I am at HeyZ@zconecta.com, and let's get something on the calendar. It's time for you to grow, and I'm here to support you. Dale. That's the show, amigi. Gracias for tuning in. I live by the line, the more you give, the more you receive. So that being said, make sure to share this episode with somebody that came to mind while you were listening. The more this show grows, the more you can get from it. See what I'm saying here? The more you give, the more you get. Como siempre, I'm your amiga Zulean, and I'm sending you off today con un huge abrazo, amigui. Nos vemos en la próxima.